I'm really excited to introduce you to Mukul Malhotra. And he is the urban design leader at MIG. How many of you have had the chance to meet Mukul? Yeah, see, because if you've met Mukul, you know Mukul is actually pretty cool. He has worked in design, and through his work, he is really impacting the future of what cities look like. But more importantly, his work and his design is also inspiring sustainability, community, mobility. Mukul likes to talk about the fact that stories are so important in terms of the design of the place. And he really views that our role as city builders includes the component of making sure we're telling the story of place. This really helps individuals connect self to community. So, without further ado, please welcome Mukul, who's going to help us tell the stories of our places. Mukul.
Before there was a city of San Antonio, there was a place and a river called Yanaguana. It was a place that had been inhabited for hundreds of years by the Payaya Indians. The place was created when the water spirit, the blue panther, chased the ahinga bird. As the ahinga bird rose out of the blue hole, it spread its wings, and from its feathers dropped water droplets that became the river. The river sustains life. The river sustains human life, animal life, plant life, and nourishes the soul. As some of you may have figured out by now, English is not my first language. So the Oxford Dictionary says that a story is based on facts, or it could be imaginary. What I do know, based on my experience, that a story changes and it evolves as people change, as places change. I grew up in India as part of the Hindu middle class, the majority class in India. I came to America and I became part of the minority. My mom insisted I was fair and white growing up, till someone at UC Berkeley said, "You're brown." I started my life in the US as a student. I started to work, and the US government told me I was a resident alien till I got my green card. I was straight in India. I came out in America. I always thought MAGA meant make aliens gay again, till our president told us otherwise. That is another story. But stories are powerful, and we as humans love to share and tell them. We have tried to do so all the time since we got an opportunity to do so, be it in centuries-old cave paintings, or when we had the chance to start writing, be it on stone. The Sumerian tale of Shuruppak, which is over 4,500 years ago, is the tales that a king tells his son that include that a loving heart maintains a family, a hateful heart destroys a family, and not pass judgment when you drink beer. Some stories are timeless, and they have stood the test of time, and that's why they are powerful. Great buildings, well-designed buildings have managed to do so. And they have told stories of power, of dominance, of creation, of suffering, of love and compassion, and of resilience and revival. And it's not just buildings. Open spaces tell the same stories too, but they tell it in a unique way. One of the best stories that is being told today and has been told for many hundreds of years is a few blocks away, the river walk that I'm sure all of you have seen and experienced. It is a story which, over the years, despite all the threats of suffering, repeated flooding, the people, the community, the city leaders of San Antonio came together and said, we want to save and preserve it. We want to build on the memories that we cherish and has sustained us over the years. And that's what it is today. It is the soul and the spirit of the community, and they embrace it every day. A few blocks away, that story of creation is told what I consider to be one of the world's best designed parks. It's the Yanaguana Gardens. It tells the story of the creation of San Antonio, as was designed by my mentor, Susan Goldsman. As she told me, she wanted the people, anybody who enters the park, to feel the chase, celebrate life, despite any and all ages, feel the spirit, not just read the story. In fact, the story is never written. It's considered inauspicious if it's written. So you need to experience that story, and you do that despite what age you are, and you celebrate life in every aspect of the park, day or at night. A few feet away from the river and Yanaguana Gardens is Alamo Street. What story is this street telling us? There's no story. And it's not just Alamo Street, it's also other streets all over our cities, all over our downtowns. It could be in Greensboro, it could be in Long Beach, it doesn't matter. Yes, we have done a fantastic job of putting markers, telling people what the stories are. What is so special about this place? But does it really seep into your soul when you just read something? You can always go down the way of Las Vegas and copy stories of other cities from other continents that span hundreds and thousands of years. That's one way to tell a story. But is this authentic? Is it true? We can copy the best that is happening in every other downtown. That's great. We can make our cities the most efficient. But are you really telling the story of your place that will make your downtown, your city, your neighborhood so unique? About 10 years ago, I started working with the community of Long Beach on the Transit Mall, 2 blocks of Transit Mall. And we worked with the community and we asked them, what is the story you want to tell in this street of downtown where over 30 different transit line comes multiple times a day? And buses are there, trains are there, all modes of travel in terms of transit come through it. And the first thing the transit user told us, we don't want to feel like a loser. When I'm in the transit wall, I want to be a winner. That's the basic. I want to be safe and comfortable, and I want to feel special. And then more importantly, I want to make sure when I'm standing at a bus stop, waiting for my bus, and it's late again, I don't feel like a loser that I'm stopping at transit stop A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. There is some real creativity in naming those bus stops. Instead, they said they want to feel special, and they want to really understand and let people who live and work and use transit celebrate what is so unique about Long Beach, what is so distinctive, what are the milestones, and what is it that they want to celebrate. So C is not bus stop C, but it celebrates crab and the unique sea life that is just 2 blocks away. You're a visitor or you've lived all your life in Long Beach, now you know something very special to say. And it goes on every stop as you go about doing it. The last story I want to share with you is an amazing story of courage. In the 1890s, the city of Greensboro had over 60 trains pass through the city every day, stop and then go to the next stop. It served as the gateway to the south, and over a period of time, it served as the gateway to the west. It was a booming, happening city that in the first half of the 20th century became prosperous with all the manufacturing and the industry, got a creative class. It was happening. It was also very diverse, but it was not very inclusive. On February 1st, 1960, 4 student leaders, in an amazing act of courage and humility, went to the Woolworth building and sat down on a whites-only lunch counter and refused to leave till they were served. Therein began the beginning of us to integrate and be equal citizens in this country. And it sparked a movement that spread like wildfire all around our country. It was that spirit when we started working with the community of Greensboro earlier this year said, we want to celebrate that spirit. Tell us how we can do so. And as we began to look and reimagine the streets, we said, let's make sure every user is an equal user of the street. And that's what the city is beginning to do now. But then we stepped back, because this is a complete street, and we are all designing complete streets all over the downtown. But the question is this complete street inclusive? The community and the consultants brainstormed and said, but what is it? Let's think of the people that we have never included in our cities as equal citizens. And we brainstormed it with the people who use a wheelchair, who are not abled as us, who use a cane, and our children. And as we began to look at Church Street, that begins where the city started, at the train depot, and goes 4 or 5 blocks to the Greensboro Museum and LaBar Park. They said, let's make sure this is a street where everybody is equal, but more importantly, the people who have been forever disenfranchised are respected by all other users of the street. And that's what we achieve. So my request is, as you go back home, go back to your downtowns, to your neighborhoods, think about what's the soul of your city. Harness what the governor said, your love for your place. And think, what is the unique story you want to tell about your city, in your streets, in your parks, in your open spaces? Because the people who live in downtowns deserve nothing less. Thank you.